thank you for coming up, y'all. I just wanted to briefly mention we're having a Capitol conversation. It's the first time we've done this. Monday evening, we're doing a public forum. And the whole goal is we've been trying to figure out how we can deal with the fact that we want two-way communication up here, and we want people to be able to give feedback. And there's no opportunity for testimony in our committees as is. And so we really are focused on how can we create some two-way communication. So we're going to have once a month have an event that the public can come to and they can ask questions. We're going to give updates. There's going to be a couple of us from the caucus there Monday at 5:30, just so you know that's happening. And I just want to mention a couple of great bills. Some awesome Senate Democrats bills went forward that are bipartisan measures that I wanted to mention a few. Senator Boren ran a bill on the earned income tax credit and modernizing that. And it was a great conversation. I really love the bipartisan agreement around how do we make sure we're supporting working folks and that our tax decisions are going to help working folks. And then Senator Mann had a bill specifically about our emergency certified teachers and how do we help them become permanent teachers. With the huge record numbers of emergency teachers, we want to make sure we're getting them, if possible, getting them the training they need on child development or curriculum development, whatever they need to be high quality teachers. Recognizing that this problem's not going away, we need to help those educators become better. So he's got a great bill, Senate Bill 186, that's focused on that. So those are two I wanted to mention, and then I'm open for questions.
Can you just talk a little bit about the lawsuit that I mentioned to you, whether you feel like that the order to end remote work should be more appropriate for the legislature to issue, or if that's in the purview?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Senator Andy Fugate's lawsuit against the governor on his executive order around sending state workers back from remote work. I need to read it carefully this weekend. I actually haven't gotten to read it carefully yet. I do have huge concerns about the way that the governor's been using executive orders, and I do think there's been overreach there, but I need to really analyze the case, and I haven't gotten to yet. I think the way it's been done is hasty and poorly managed. I've talked to a lot of state employees who have been remote the entire time that they've been state employees, so I'm deeply concerned about that, but I've got to learn more about that human capital piece of it.
I asked the pro tem this question too regarding on the federal level, we saw some initial proposals for a budget, and it obviously had some pretty substantial cuts to a lot of programs, Medicaid being the one that Oklahoma is constitutionally obligated to pay for. Thoughts? Yeah,
I mean, we don't have the financial ability to cover if the federal government cuts back significantly. Our Medicaid program, some folks are just barely getting coverage, and so I'm deeply concerned about any cuts there. If they create cuts, I imagine they're going to have to. They've been using kind of the chainsaw approach to cuts, and I'm concerned that with Medicaid, you'd have to really single out what you want to cut back, or else it's going to be catastrophic for our hospitals and for preventative care, which is actually going to cost us more in the long term. And, the savings we have is not going to cover, it wouldn't cover a half year of Medicaid, I don't think. So I'm deeply concerned about that. I asked Senator Langford when he visited our caucus last week specifically about budget decision making and how are we to plan with our current situation. And he said really he feels strongly that the president has the right to freeze things for 90 days. And so we will not know during session on a lot of these decisions. And we know we won't know about the next budget for quite a while. So we're going to be planning in a vacuum as a state, and I mean, we're going to end up in special session if they make major cuts, is what I think. Because how do we make a plan when we're not given that information from the federal government? And those investments are so important to our communities. I don't think people even realized how much federal funding goes in to our communities and to the type of economic growth, transportation, health, all those aspects. It's pretty remarkable how much that is federal money.
How do you feel regarding it being constitutionally?
The Medicaid? I think the state question did that because they knew the state government would not comply with the promise to the people if it hadn't been put in the Constitution. So I think that state question had to be done that way. And so I don't regret that at all, because I think that I know watching what's happened with medical marijuana and the amount of change that's happened in what the state question was intended for, that I have no doubt the legislature would have changed it if we could have. And I'm glad that we pushed through and that's forcing access for people. So we got to live with it, right? Yeah. Jackie, you have anything? You want to talk consent decree?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern with that getting laid over is I hope we come to a resolution really soon. We need to be serving people now. Like, we literally have a record number of people sitting in our jails waiting for competency restoration. They need mental health treatment, and every day that we push that back, our people are suffering. So my big concern is let's do it as fast as possible. I hope it's not something political that's pushing this back, and I hope that it's something we can problem solve quickly.
Are you privy to?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah.
Or the pro tem said it was.
I hope I get some intel soon.
Yeah.
I really want to know why that's happening. I hope. I spent quite a bit of time looking at the consent decree, and I think it's a real opportunity for us as a state to make a big leap forward. But I think we have to remember that if that leads to cuts in other aspects of the Department of Mental Health, we're going to undercut ourselves. If we don't spend that money on community behavioral health and prevention, we will have more people incarcerated and more people inpatient, and that's going to cost us more. So I hope that we do not take from one side of what the department and the agency is doing to fund the other aspects. That's my only worry with the money, that we comply with the good aspects of it, and also try to prevent future problems. Yeah.
Any comment on the rumors that are going around regarding Tinker and layoffs?
I mean, the biggest thing is Senator Mann's been very proactive, talking with the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission and talking with Tinker. I know OESC's on red alert and ready to go provide a mobile unit if needed out there. I did talk to them about the system, and they've heard from other states. One concern is that other states where there have been massive layoffs of federal employees, they do have to get paperwork from that federal agency in order to pay the unemployment benefits. So hopefully there's enough people left at the agencies to comply. My concern would be people not only getting laid off, but not being able to access unemployment insurance quickly. And we know how important Tinker is to our community. So
I'll just ask this since it's gone national, it seems like now, regarding the corporal punishment bill that passed off the floor.
yeah.
Any thoughts? It looked like your caucus all voted unanimously in favor of it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is overdue.
Right.
We should not be putting educators in a position where they're using corporal punishment in the classroom. We need to be giving them the tools and the resources for better behavioral interventions. Parents have a lot of latitude in our state. That does not mean that we need schools touching children. And what we've seen in Hugo and other communities is abuse of kids who are nonverbal, abuse of kids who have disabilities. So I think we should be even more vigilant now about how close that line is. There's no reason why we have to have corporal punishment in our schools. We can behavior can be improved in so many other ways that are much more effective. So I hope this is the year we're going to move that forward. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what